If you are someone that has gifts, abilities, talents, wisdom to share with the world, and you are hiding, you are not stepping fully into conscious leadership because you're afraid. You might be afraid of what other people think. You might be afraid of rejection. You might be afraid of failure. If you are having this experience, this video is for you. I'm going to share with you 3 things that completely shifted me out of that reality into my current reality, where my entire life and my entire business has completely expanded and shifted by making these 3 simple changes in my life. My name is Kundaliniawakening, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, the first thing that I changed and I worked on and I really put energy behind to let go of has completely been a game changer. And I know so many who struggle with this very same thing, and it is perfectionism. It is the feeling that we have to be a certain way in order to be received or in order to be accepted. It's that feeling that we are not ready yet. And when we're in a state of perfectionism, we are judging ourselves. We are finding the flaws. We are pointing out the things that are wrong, that we are judging from a mind state to be wrong. And from this state, it creates excuses. It creates a roadblock from where we're at to where we want to be. Now, we might be aware of all of the gifts and talents, and on one end of the spectrum, we're like, wow, I have this ability. I have this wisdom. I really want to share it with the world. And then the mind comes in and it starts telling the story of perfectionism. And it starts pointing out what is not right from the mind space of judgment. And so when we get stuck in this holding pattern of perfection, we contract, we feel pressurized to be a certain way. And it can really put us into a state of analysis paralysis. I know a big story is that fully relates to perfectionism. I know I've used it in my life, is when this, then. When, then. When I get this next certification, then I will be ready. When I have the ideal daily routine, then I will be ready. When I am 100% healed, then I will be ready. These are all stories I have told myself to stop myself from showing up and sharing the wisdom, the guidance, the experience that I have had, that I am here to share. And the way that I let go of perfectionism was to reframe it. Perfectionism is a 3rd dimensional construct. And in order to get out of that 3D reality, we are required to raise our frequency and raise our vibration, to move from our mind into our body and into the heart space and open our field of awareness through this space of our heart. And when we can move from the head to the heart, we open into a broader spectrum of abilities and opportunities. And when we move into this space and open this space within us, we are now in present time. Perfectionism is a judgment. Perfectionism is looking for the flaws, looking for what's wrong, pointing out what is required in order for something to happen. It is micromanaging and compartmentalizing everything in order to achieve a particular goal or result. And so when we can let go of the reins of perfectionism, we are releasing ourselves from the constraints of the mind, because perfectionism comes from the mind space. And when we're in the mind space and we're moving back and forth in these judgments, we are living in duality. We are living separate from God, separate from the universe. And in order to move out of perfectionism, it is required again to raise our frequency and to come into present moment time. The only way to do that is to get out of our head, get into our body, and then work with our body to relax our body. When we can regulate our nervous system and relax in our body, specifically through breath and meditation, which are some of the quickest ways to come into the space within, we open this field of possibility. When we can relax in our body, our hearts will open. And in this space, we are open to receive. We are now in present moment time, and we have never been here before, and will never be here again. That is the beauty of the present moment. And so the shift and the reframe from perfectionism, which is that third dimensional reality, being stuck in the mind, and we move into the space of present time. From this present moment, all of my energy is in. All of my energy is online. I am total. And in this state of totality, I am in my wholeness. And in my wholeness, I am unified. I am no longer separate. There is no more division. There is no more judgment. There simply is what is. We open the field, we enter into that state of neutrality, and from that state of neutrality, we are a fit receptacle. We are a vessel for divine expression. And we are in our wholeness. So the first step is to recognize our wholeness by returning to the present moment. And this is a practice. The more that we practice present moment awareness, the easier it becomes. The more we become mindful of each and everything that we are doing in the moment, the easier it is to be in the moment. This is why meditation, breath work, is so helpful, because we take time out of our day to sit, to be still, and to focus single-pointedly on one thing. And sometimes, so for instance, Kundalini, when we have a practice, a specific meditation, we may have multiple focuses. So we sit still, our spine is straight, we focus on our posture. We may focus also on our third eye with the eyes closed. This keeps a focal point and an energetic lock. And then there may be a breath pattern. And so to train the mind and body to be present, we have ways to come back into the present moment through meditation. So if our mind starts pulling us out, or our body starts pulling us out because we want to be somewhere else, or we're thinking of what we have to do next, or we're trying not to forget something that we want to remember, you know, the mind starts playing all the symphonies within while we're meditating. You know, it's like pulling us out, pulling us out. And so the moment we catch ourselves being pulled out of the moment, when we're in this practice, we have these focal points. Okay, I'm checking in with my posture. Now I'm present. Where's my eye gaze? I'm going to look at my third eye. It just shifted. What is my breath? Where's my breath pattern? So we keep bringing our focus back in, back in, back in, into the self, internal. And when we shift the internal state, the external reality shifts with us. And so as we do this training, and we can honestly, a 15-minute practice a day. And if you don't have 15 minutes, start with 5. Anything will help when you do it consistently. Small changes can move mountains. And so as you do it daily as a practice, you start to reframe and shift your reality. And as you reframe yourself back into the present moment, it translates in your day-to-day life. So when you move out of your meditation practice and you go into your day-to-day life and you start getting pulled out by different things, by distractions, by your mind state, spacing out, whatever it is, you're ready for it. And it's like, no, I'm coming back. Because in this present moment is where all of the magic is, all of the miracles are. It is where I am open to receive what is meant for me. And it's me moving out of karma, out of that cycle of cause and effect, and moving into my dharma, into my destiny. It is moving in alignment with my wholeness and letting go of the mind state, the ego state of perfection. And so the first step, the first thing to let go of is this idea of having to be perfect, to share your gifts, to share your abilities, your wisdom with the world. And to reframe that idea of having to be perfect with the embodiment of wholeness. And in that embodiment of wholeness, we remember our divinity. We remember our true nature. As within, so without. As above, so below. As the universe, so the soul. It's truly in that teaching. We are the microcosm and the macrocosm. We are the drop in the ocean and the entire ocean. And this leads me into the second part. As we let go of perfection, we can see that we can also let go of the story of needing more credentials to be able to do what we do. The invitation is to teach from your own experience, to share from your own experience. We are moving out of a paradigm where things were necessary in the third dimensional construct, where we needed certifications and governing bodies to regulate. All these words sound so serious. To regulate the system. And we're moving out of that now. And I'm not saying to not take a course or a certification. If you feel called to go and take a course or read a book or take a certification program because you are lit up by it and you know it's part of your mission, or you don't maybe know why, but you're feeling that urge and that nudge and you're being called and pulled to it, by all means, go for it. It is an amazing experience to take trainings and certifications when it feels aligned. This was part of my story, was I was never ready enough, so I wanted one more certification, one more program, and I spent over 2 decades in training before I fully stepped in to my purpose. Some of you may or may not know this about me. I was a registered massage therapist and an energy healer for 18 years. And I was sitting on this potential, and I knew there was so much that I wanted to share, and I kept hiding behind closed doors, specifically my massage room door. And sometimes I would be so lit up and lucky to have a client that was open to have a conversation about spirituality and spiritual growth and personal development, shadow work, energy healing, chakras. You know, not everyone came to me for energy healing. Some people came simply for the massage, and then they're like, there's something different about you when you give me a treatment. It's not like anybody else. And it's because the energy work, it's because I was still allowing myself to express part of that mission. Yet the bigger aspect of it for me was to speak, was to share, was to teach others how to cultivate that within themselves. And so I continued for over 2 decades to get another certification and travel to this country and that country and another certification and one more training and, you know, go for another treatment, and I have to heal myself first. Like, all these stories became such a big roadblock. And the reason I'm sharing this is because if it resonates with you, I'm telling you, it can happen much quicker for you. You can let go, release that idea. And it comes back to that story again. When then? When I do one more certification, then I am ready. And truly, when we can teach from experience, and this is what I'm doing right now, I'm teaching from my own experience. We are sharing embodied wisdom. And this is relatable. This is when people will feel relaxed in your aura, in your presence, and they will trust. Because you are being true, you are being authentic. And when you share your own story, it's relatable to other people. The age of the guru is over. The age of hierarchy is dismantling and dissolving. We are entering that state where the inner guru is coming forward to liberate our soul, to liberate ourselves, to integrate the shadow and totally embody the light. So from your experience, you can share your wisdom. When we read out of a book, we gain knowledge. We gain concepts from a mind space. And if we haven't had the experience of what we read, there's a disconnect. So we can regurgitate what we read all we want, yet it will not create a shift in vibration or frequency in who we share it with, because we have not embodied it. We have not even had that experience of elevation from the words that we are sharing. And this is why sharing from experience is so powerful. And yes, there may be steps, there may be ideas, you may know what you want to share, you may have had these experiences, and there may be some things in the way that are more technical, like not knowing maybe where to share or how to get out there. And this is where, for me, hiring a coach has been hugely beneficial in my life. I would not be here today if I didn't work with coaches that were where I wanted to be. And so sometimes all it takes is looking for the support without necessarily looking too hard. Because when you're ready, they always say this, when you're ready, the teacher appears, right? When you're ready. And it has been this way in my life many, many times. And this is the nature that when we start to align with our path and align with our heart and soul and really get out of our own way, that everything that we require shows up in our field. All it takes is that internal frequency to be aligned. We could say we're ready from a mind space and not embody it, and we're still pushing it away. Because from the mind space, we're like, but I want to be there. But inside, it's like the emotion, and this is something I experienced, maybe you can relate to it, is that I wanted so badly to get out of massage therapy and be a full-time yoga teacher or meditation teacher or have a studio. And I did all those things. And now I coach and I mentor and I do retreats. So it's evolved, right? I never knew where it was going to fully go, and it's still evolving as I go. And I wanted so badly to get out of massage therapy for a few years at the end. And I started lessening my workload. And it was like I was pushing up against the desire. I had this desire, and from a mind space, I was still in a victim consciousness. I was still playing out the part of me that felt not ready. So I wanted something, and inside, my feeling state did not match my desire. And so this is where stepping into the shared experience, we start to share from our experience, and it opens more doors. So if we can allow ourselves to step into that experience, the next step will show up, and the next step will show up. We simply require presence so that we're available to the next step. And usually those next steps come through in synchronicities, signs, symbols, messages from other people. Like I said, when we are ready, the teacher appears, the guide appears, the message appears, our intuition drops downloads. When we are open, ready, and receptive, it all lands and comes through. And a lot of being receptive, mostly everything of being receptive, is allowing the embodiment of feminine energy to blossom within. That is what it is. And so most people in the world, because our whole 3D structure has been trained and programmed into a masculine-dominated world. Masculine-dominated energy, hustle, go, do. And yes, we require the active principle of masculine energy in order to create something, in order to move towards what we want to do in our life. And without the receptive nature of the feminine within us, we are unable to align to that higher state of consciousness. And so when we are stuck in the loop of do, hustle, go, we are moving from a scattered state, from a thought process state, from a logical space. And both energies within us are equally important. The world has shifted so out of balance over the last few ages that now is the time that we cultivate and we nurture the feminine within. we return to that state where we allow ourselves to be soft and gentle, to listen, to pause, to breathe, to reflect, to receive. And in that state of being, where we receive, we are able to give from an aligned space. And this is the nature of sharing from our experience. And so this leads me to the third thing that has completely shifted everything for my business, for my life. It is to return to the basics. So a lot of the times we prevent ourselves from showing up, and again, they all tie together. Perfectionism, having to master something, thinking if, when, then, all of these things lead into this one as well. And when we can bring ourselves back to the basics, we are more accessible to so many more people that are meant to be in our world and in our community. And of course, if you have a lot to share, then by all means, share. However, if you are feeling that you want to have more, so that you have every detail, again, the perfectionism, every single aspect is there and available to share, then you're missing out on sharing and helping and supporting others and stepping into your leadership role now for those who need you. So back to the basics is the idea of being only a couple steps ahead of the person that you are supporting. You don't have to be at the top of the mountain. You can simply be a couple steps above on that mountain. And again, we are dissolving the paradigm of hierarchy. So it's not about that. It's about when I'm ready, the teacher appears, the path is clear, and a guide will show up to assist me on my path. And the messages will come through and they will help me to get to that next stage of evolution, to that next level of service, to help me to rise into my leadership role here on earth as a conscious leader, as an embodiment of love and truth. And so when we allow ourselves to come back to the basics, we expand our reach, our field, and it helps others to feel more comfortable to reach out to us as well. I know a lot of the times I have taken for granted the basics, the very basics of meditation. That's something I've been teaching for years and years and years and years. And I can say that sometimes I forget how the simple things that are part of now my daily life, because I started my practice and I've been doing it for years and years and years, these things that are so simple, someone that I am working with may have no clue about it because they've never had the experience themselves. And so if I show up as the teacher, as the guide, and want to share all this information, it can be overwhelming for the other person, and they can shut down altogether and be like, oh God, no, too much, can't do this, right? And the negative mind will come up and the ego will show up and be like, no, this is too much. I'm short-circuiting, right? That actually happens sometimes, you know. I can say this, you know, for me, my personal experience with astrology, I love astrology and I am a forever student of astrology and I use it in my life and I help my personal life, my business through astrology and like the different planets and everything that is in my chart. And at the beginning, I wanted to know it all. And then when I would be with a teacher that had all the information, it was too much for me. And then I literally backed away from it for a while. I was like, okay, this is too much. I want a little bit of information, and then I want to apply it in my life, and I want the experience of that, and then I can evolve to the next step. So remember, it's one step in front of the other. It's not the whole staircase. And this is landing, and I want to share it, that we are in a very powerful evolutionary time. And through this accelerated ascension process right now, we may jump timelines. We may literally move from, okay, I was this person yesterday, and then 2 weeks later, you're like, I don't remember what that was like even in that life. I feel like a completely different person. And this is the nature of the jumping timelines. And we have this potential to rise up and ascend really, really quickly now, because so many people on the planet are waking up. So the collective is in support of that elevation. Whereas before, there were so many people who were still unconscious that those of us that were doing the work were alone. And we were never alone. That's a story for another time and a conversation for another time. However, the support of the collective focus was never where it is today. And there are so many on the awakening path, so many on the spiritual path, so many on the personal development path, the ascension path, whatever you want to name it. Labels do not matter. It is looking at the shadow, integrating the shadow, releasing the lower emotions of survival, and elevating into the space of the heart and stepping into the light of our truth. That is what we are here to do. And this is the essence of us as light workers. And so coming back to the basics is essential. I can also share, so as a student of astrology, there was that moment of short circuit. And I can share a personal experience as a teacher, how I held myself back from teaching something I wanted to teach ages ago. So when I was, I think it was 20. I was 20, I took therapeutic touch. I'd also taken some chakra courses, and I've been learning, a lot of different energy modalities and healing work. My mom, when I was very young, 8 years old, brought in energy healing into our household. So it was in my field of awareness at a young age. And so when I started integrating it into my own meditation practice and into my own massage therapy practice, I really wanted to start teaching about the chakras. I truly did. And now this is going back again, it's over 2 decades ago. I really wanted to teach a chakra course. And the story in my head was that I needed to know everything about every chakra and what different system of the body it related to, and, all the intricacies of each and every chakra. And the first time I taught about chakras in an actual full-on course was just within the last 8 years or so. And so it took me that long to let go of that desire or that need or that perfectionist mindset that I had to know it all. And honestly, people can only absorb and digest so much information at once. And if you give them too much, the short circuit can occur, especially if they have a very strong negative mind. And so when we can come back to the basics and remember that all that is required is that we are a couple of steps ahead. And as long as we continue to commit to ourselves and devote ourselves daily to be in present time awareness, to commit to that alignment with divine, with God, with Goddess, with the universe, to be in the flow within the structure, harmonizing the masculine and the feminine energies within us. When we commit to that, we simply open to share, and they will come. They will want support. People are craving support in silence right now. There are people out there waiting for your help, for your support, for your guidance, for you to teach them your gifts, your abilities, your methods, your practices, things that have helped you on your path through your experience, to share them in your truth, through your story, through your embodied wisdom. And they are waiting for you. Now, this is a practice. This is a commitment. This is a devotion to the path of service. And everything starts within. So if you are feeling like you're struggling with the negative mind, feeling like you're not ready, like you're insecure, you're making excuses. And when I say making excuses, I don't mean stuck in the victim state. If you're stuck in the victim state, there's some work to be done. Going deep within the self, right? So if you're having these experiences where your desire is to be there to help others, to share your wisdom, this is your invitation to take that next step. And if you don't know how to go to that next step, what that next step is, how to take it, where to go, what to do next, if you can't see that next step in front of you and something is in the way, most likely it's the mind state that's in the way, or you may require some assistance and some guidance. I would love to get on a call with you. So if you feel resonant to what this message delivered, if you feel ready to break through whatever those blocks and barriers are to you being in your leadership and service to others, then I'm going to post my link below for a complimentary clarity call. And this is a coaching clarity call where we will talk about what you're going through, where you want to go, what's getting in the way, and I'm going to share with you how you can move through that. So I'll post that link in the description. And again, as always, I am so grateful for you being here in this space with me. I appreciate your support and you joining me on this journey as I am here to share and serve in all the ways that I am able to. I appreciate you and I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for being here.